Hi there! Here, we turn psychology books into clear, thoughtful audio journeys so you can understand the mind one idea at a time. Feel free to subscribe for more. Let's dive in together.
I want to start today's deep dive by asking you to run a quick diagnostic on your operating system, not your laptop, your brain. I want you to honestly, right now, look at the mental browser you have open. How many tabs do you have open that are dedicated to other people?
Oh, that is a dangerous question for a Tuesday.
It is, isn't it? But really think about it. Maybe there's a tab running in the background, worrying about why your partner seemed a little bit distant this morning.
Mm-hmm.
There's another tab continuously refreshing, analyzing that weird Slack message from your boss.
Yep, got that one open.
Maybe a whole separate window dedicated to, fixing your kid's social life or worrying about a friend's really bad financial decisions.
And the fan on your internal laptop is whirring so loud it's about to take flight.
Exactly. We are absolutely exhausted, but we aren't physically tired from running marathons. We are emotionally depleted from trying to micromanage the universe.
You're burning through all your processing power.
We're suffering from what I call managerial burnout. But the catch is, we're managing lives that aren't even ours.
It's the universal struggle for control, really. We operate under this illusion that if we can just toggle the right settings in other people,
Right.
if we can just get them to behave the way we think they should, we'll finally feel safe, we'll finally feel calm. But it's a mirage.
So today, we are going to close those tabs. We're exploring a concept that sounds, deceptively simple. It's just two words, but it has sparked this massive global conversation. We're talking about the Let Them theory by Mel Robbins.
And before you roll your eyes and think this is just some, passive live and let live bumper sticker philosophy, you really need to stick with us.
Yes, because the real mechanics of this theory are actually quite aggressive.
Right. It's not about passivity at all. It's about energy reclamation. And it's worth noting up front, we know Mel Robbins, she's the 5-second rule powerhouse. And that was very much about internal actuation, how to get yourself to move when you don't feel like it. The Let Them theory is like the sequel nobody knew they needed. It's all about external friction. It's about how we collide with the rest of the world.
So our mission for this deep dive is to unpack the psychology behind why we try to control everyone around us. Spoiler alert. It's almost always fear, and break down the actual formula.
Yeah.
Because, and this is so crucial, it's not just about saying let them. There's a part 2 to this theory that almost everyone misses, and without it, the theory it doesn't work.
It falls flat. That second part is what actually gives you your power back. Otherwise, you're just detached and, frankly, kind of cynical.
And we're going to give you tools. We're talking stress hacking, navigating toxic family dynamics without losing your mind, dealing with adult tantrums.
Oh yeah, that is a real psychological category.
It is. And professional frustration, too.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. And we should probably start where the theory was born, which, surprisingly, isn't a therapist's office or some corporate boardroom.
No, not at all. It's a rainy driveway on prom night.
The classic high school drama, but this time, the drama was coming from inside the house. So set the scene. Mel Robbins is sending her son, Oakley, off to prom.
Okay.
Now, Mel admits she has daughters, and apparently their proms were like military operations. We're talking hair appointments booked 6 months out, makeup trials, dress fittings. It was a whole production.
Total opposite of a teenage boy's approach.
Total opposite. But Oakley, not so much. It's a chaotic last-minute scramble.
Which, for a parent who identifies as a fixer or a planner, is already spiking the cortisol. You're just watching the potential car crash happen in slow motion before you even leave the driveway.
Oh, absolutely. So they're rushing out the door, and Mel opens the fridge. She have bought a corsage.
Oh, no.
Now, Oakley had explicitly told her, "Mom, my date does not want a corsage." He was clear. But Mel...
She bought it just in case.
Just in case. The famous last words of a control freak.
Yeah.
That phrase is the calling card of anxiety, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
Just in case implies, I know it better than you do, and I am going to save you from your own poor planning.
Right. I am anticipating a failure that you're not seeing, and I'm going to rescue you from it.
Exactly. So she brings it. They get to the pre-prom photos, and lo and behold, the date has made her own corsage out of ribbon. She's already wearing it.
And this is that moment of friction. It's so awkward. Mel is standing there holding this plastic box. The son is annoyed because she didn't listen. The date is being gracious, but it's Weird.
So awkward.
Mel is feeling that tension of overstepping, but she can't help herself. She wanted to be the hero, the fixer. She wanted to prevent the disaster of him showing up empty-handed, a disaster that only existed in her head.
But the real climax happens next. This group of 20 teenagers is heading to dinner. But, shocker, they have no reservations.
On prom night, which is basically amateur hour. It's a rite of passage.
Right. And they decide, in their infinite teenage wisdom, to go to Amigos.
Okay.
Now, for context, Amigos is this tiny taco shack. It fits maybe 10 people, standing up. It is not a sit-down venue.
Not exactly a prom dinner spot.
Not at all. And right as they make this decision to pile into cars and go to the taco shack, the sky opens up. Torrential downpour.
Oh, of course it does. Now, put yourself in Mel's shoes here. You're a parent. You see 20 kids in tuxedos and floor-length silk gowns, no umbrellas, no raincoats, heading to a taco shack that they can't even fit inside in a monsoon.
Total panic. Mel spirals. She's thinking about the ruined sneakers, the wet silk, the hair falling flat, the logistics of eating tacos in the rain.
The whole perfect picture is dissolving in front of her eyes.
It's gone. So she starts whipping out her phone, calling pizza places, trying to find a venue with a banquet hall that can seat 20 people immediately. She is intervening. She is fixing.
And that's when her daughter, Kendall, steps in. And this is the intervention we all need in our lives. She grabs Mel's arm and says, "Mom, if they want to go to a taco bar, let them.
Let them.
Let them get soaked.
Yeah.
Let them ruin their sneakers. It's their prom, not yours."
Let them. And Mel describes this as a physiological shift. She said she felt the tension just evaporate because she realized the control wasn't for the kids. The kids didn't care. They were laughing. The control was for her own anxiety.
That is the core realization. That is the whole theory in a nutshell. We so often disguise our need for control as caring or helping.
Yes.
But really, it's about managing our own internal discomfort with uncertainty. Mel was uncomfortable with the idea of them getting wet and having a bad time. The kids were totally fine with it. By stepping back, she allowed them to have their own experience, wet sneakers and all.
And they had a blast. They got soaked, they ate tacos, and they survived. And it was their story, not her perfectly curated one.
But we have to be really careful here because it's easy to hear "let them" and think it just means being passive or indifferent, like, oh, whatever, I don't care.
Right, the apathy trap.
Yeah.
I can hear listeners thinking, if I just let them do whatever, aren't I just a doormat? Aren't I just giving up?
Exactly. And Mel uses this great visual of a seesaw to explain why that's not the case.
Okay, let's break that down.
So imagine a seesaw. On one side, you have the people or the situations that are bothering you. If you are trying to control them, if you're trying to force them to change, worrying about their choices, you are stuck on the ground.
You're weighed down.
You are weighed down by their gravity. You feel heavy. You feel resentful. You feel stuck.
And when you say let them, you jump off your side. You rise up.
Exactly. You rise up. You detach. And initially, that feels great. There's a bit of, superiority to it, right? I'm above this drama. I'm letting them be messy.
Look at me, so zen, so unbothered.
Precisely. But here is the danger. If you stop at let them, you're just floating up there in the air, totally isolated.
Disconnected.
It leads to cynicism. It leads to disconnection. You become the person who just doesn't care about anyone, or you become the martyr who says, fine, do what you want, I won't help, which is its own form of control.
And that's not the goal. We want connection, not isolation. So this brings us to the missing piece of the puzzle, the part that most people miss.
The let me is where the power returns. Let them creates the space. It creates the pause. Let me is where the power and the responsibility lie.
Mel tells this story about a girls' weekend that I think hits so hard for so many people. She's scrolling Instagram, always a dangerous game.
Always.
And she sees a photo of her friends, a whole group of them, on a trip she was not invited to.
Ouch. The FOMO is real. That hits you right in the stomach, a physical reaction.
It's Viral City. She goes into full stalker mode. She's checking timestamps, zooming in on the photos to see if they look happy. Why don't they like me? What did I do? Am I boring? All those old high school fears bubble up.
And this is the seesaw again, right? She's down, she's on the ground, feeling rejected, feeling small. The first step is let them.
Let them go on a trip.
Let them go on a trip. They are allowed to travel. They are allowed to have fun without you. Fighting that reality is just hurting you.
Okay, so that stops the initial panic. But if she stops there, she's just sitting on her couch, feeling superior but lonely.
Well, I guess I don't need them. They're obviously mean girls.
Exactly. That's the trap. That's the isolation. The let me is the pivot. Mel had to be brutally honest with herself. She realized, let me look at my own behavior.
And what did she find?
She hadn't reached out to them in months. She hadn't planned anything. She hadn't initiated. She was sitting back, waiting to be included rather than actively creating the connection she wanted.
So the let me was taking responsibility. Let me plan a get-together. Let me send a text. It moves you from victimhood to agency.
That's the full formula. Acknowledge you can't control them, let them, and then choose your own empowered response. Let me. It's a two-step process always.
I love that. It's so actionable. And speaking of actionable, let's talk about stress, because Mel argues that let them is basically a hack for your amygdala. It is. She references Dr. Aditi Nirikar from Harvard Medical School, and the science is pretty straightforward. Stress hijacks your prefrontal cortex. That's the logical, rational part of your brain.
It's the CEO of your brain.
The CEO, exactly. And it activates the amygdala, which is the lizard brain fight, flight, or freeze.
So in your stress, you are literally not thinking straight. Your logic center is offline.
You are operating on pure survival instincts. Let them acts as a cognitive switch. It signals safety to the brain. It tells the amygdala, hey, this isn't a tiger attacking us, it's just an annoyance. It allows the prefrontal cortex to come back online.
The example she gives is the airport coughing man. We have all been there. You're on a plane, and the guy behind you is coughing.
Not just a little throat clear.
No, a full-on open mouth, lung-hacking cough right under the back of your neck.
Ugh, I can feel it now. And the immediate reaction is anger. He's so rude. I'm going to get sick. My trip is ruined. You're staring through the crack in the seats, trying to send him angry death rays.
Which never works, by the way. He doesn't know you're glaring. He's just coughing.
Never. And your cortisol is spiking. You are exhausted by your own anger. You are braining expensive glucose in your brain, being mad at a stranger's lungs. It's a complete waste of energy.
So applying the theory, let them.
Let him cough. You cannot stop him. Maybe he's sick. Maybe it's allergies. Maybe he is rude. It doesn't matter. You can't control his lungs. That is an uncontrollable reality.
So you accept that, and then the let me.
Let me put on my noise-canceling headphones. Let me wrap my scarf around my face. Let me turn away and watch a movie. Let me focus on what I can control, which is my own little bubble of comfort.
It sounds so small, but the energy savings are huge. You go from being a victim of his coughing to the architect of your own peace.
It scales up too. Think about the workplace. Think about being strung along for a promotion.
Oh, this is a big one. You're waiting, you're hoping, the boss keeps making these vague promises. Maybe next quarter, we're working on it. And you spend your nights venting to your partner about how unfair it is.
And you spend all your energy angry at the boss. You're paralyzed by their inaction. You are letting their disorganization and their inability to make a decision dictate your entire career trajectory.
So let them drag their feet.
Let them drag their feet. Let them be a bad manager. Let them be disorganized. That is a reflection of them, not you. Stop trying to fix them or will them into being a better boss.
And let me
update my resume. Let me start networking. Let me look for a job where I'm valued. Let me stop begging for what isn't being given freely.
That is the aggressive reclamation of energy we talked about earlier. It's not passive at all. It's actually very bold.
It is, and it requires facing some hard truths. And one of the hardest truths that Mel talks about is the fear of other people's opinions.
The 70,000 thoughts reality check. This one blew my mind a little bit.
Yeah. Humans have roughly 70,000 thoughts a day. We can barely control our own thoughts. They just top up. So the idea that we can control what other people think about us, it's delusional.
And frankly, people will judge you.
They will. Even people who love you judge you. That's the part we don't want to admit.
Mel's examples here are hilarious because they're so relatable. She talks about judging her own family. She loves her husband, but when he has morning flatulence, she thinks, that is absolutely disgusting.
Or her daughter's spending habits, or her son being grumpy in the morning. She thinks these negative thoughts, she's wasting money, he's being rude, but she still loves them deeply.
That was the aha moment for me. If I can have a fleeting negative opinion about someone I love more than anything, then people who love me can have a fleeting negative opinion about me. And it doesn't mean the relationship is over. It doesn't mean I'm unsafe.
Exactly. We're so afraid that if someone thinks we're too loud or too ambitious or too messy, that we are fundamentally unlovable. But we judge people all day long and still love them. So you have to allow others to have their negative opinions about you.
And Mel shares a very personal story about how this fear literally cost her money and time. She waited 2 years to market her speaking business on social media.
And she knew the formula. She had the advice from experts, website plus testimonials plus social proof. She did the first two, but she just wouldn't post on social media.
Why? Because she was afraid her friends would think she was full of herself.
She was afraid of the judgment of people from her high school or her neighborhood, the high school friend phantom. And in doing so, she delayed her own success. She let the fear of their potential thoughts, which is just electrical activity in someone else's brain, block her actual real-world actions.
That's the let me era she talks about, giving people permission to think you're cringe or full of yourself or whatever. Let them think it. Let me build my business.
Because the alternative is shrinking yourself to fit into their imagination, which is a prison. You cannot be a beacon if you're afraid of shining too bright for a few people's eyes.
Okay, now let's get into the deep water. Family. Because it's one thing to ignore a coughing stranger or a high school friend on Facebook. It is another thing entirely when it's your mother or your in-laws.
Family is harder. It's so much harder because it's an interconnected system. Think of a mobile hanging over a crib. If you flick one piece, if you change your behavior, the whole thing spins and wobbles.
And they feel entitled to their opinions.
Absolutely. They feel entitled because they've known you the longest. They feel like they have a stake in you.
So Mel introduces a tool here called frame of reference. She credits Lisa Bilyeu for this, and it's a powerful one.
Right. Frame of reference is basically understanding the lens or the lived experience through which someone views the world. It's radical empathy. It's trying to see the world from their seat.
The story she shares is about her marriage. When she got engaged to Chris, she was so excited. She calls her mom, and her mom was, let's just say, underwhelming.
She wasn't excited. She actually said, I wouldn't have chosen him for you.
Can you imagine hearing that from your mom? Mel carried that hurt for years. She took it as a rejection of her judgment and a rejection of Chris. It felt like her mom was saying, you are making a huge mistake.
It's a deep wound. But then, years later, she applied the frame of reference tool. She looked at her mom's history.
What was her mom's story?
Her mom left home at 17, met a man, and never returned to her parents. She effectively left the family unit for love.
So when Mel, who is from the Midwest, marries Chris, an East Coaster,
her mom wasn't reacting to Chris as a person. She wasn't seeing Chris. She was seeing history repeating itself. She was reacting to the fear that Mel would move away and never come back.
Which, ironically, is exactly what happened.
Exactly. Mel did move away. Her mom's fear was valid based on her frame of reference. It was a projection of her own loss.
So the shift isn't, my mom is mean or my mom disapproves of my choice. It's, my mom is scared of losing me.
And that allows for compassion instead of conflict. You can both be right. Mel is right to marry who she loves. Her mom is right to feel scared based on her own experience. You don't have to agree with their opinion, but understanding where it comes from takes the personal sting out of it.
It depersonalizes it. You stop defending yourself and start understanding them. It's a game changer.
Completely.
Okay, sticking with difficult dynamics, let's talk about tantrums. Because Mel drops a truth bomb here that I think everyone needs to hear. Most adults are just 8-year-old children inside of big bodies.
This comes from her therapist, Ann Davin. And it explains so much about human behavior. Most of us were never taught how to regulate our emotions.
We were just told to stop?
We were told to stop crying or go to our room. So we learned to repress, until we either explode or we shut down completely.
So when you see an adult giving you the silent treatment,
that is a child pouting, hiding under the covers, wanting to be chased and soothed. When you see an adult screaming at a barista because the order is wrong, that is a toddler having a tantrum in the toy aisle. It's the same emotional mechanism.
So what's the strategy? Do we put them in timeout?
Mentally, yes. The strategy is do not manage their emotions. It is not your job to be their emotional regulator.
This is so hard for the fixers and the people pleasers listening.
Yeah, it's incredibly hard. Right. But if you visualize that person, your boss, your partner, your parent, as a fourth grader having a meltdown, it changes your reaction. Mm-hmm. You don't fear a fourth grader's tantrum. You might pity them. You might feel compassion, but you don't take it personally.
So let them sulk. Let them scream.
And let me maintain my boundary. Let me leave the room. Let me choose not to engage until they are regulated. You are refusing to play the parent to another adult. You are declining the invitation to their drama.
That's liberating. You're not fixing them. You're just saving yourself from their emotional storm.
Precisely. You're keeping yourself safe.
Okay, we have one last major application to cover, and it's a big one in our modern world. Comparison. We live in the age of Instagram versus reality.
Comparison is inevitable. It's wired into us. But Mel makes this brilliant distinction between two types. Comparison is torture, and comparison is teacher.
Let's start with torture. This is comparing fixed attributes, right? Things you have no control over.
Yes, things you cannot change. Your height, your age, your natural singing voice, your sister's metabolism.
Mel talks about her daughter Sawyer comparing her body type to her sister Kendall's.
It's useless self-destruction. You cannot change your fundamental genetics. If you dwell on that, you are just beating yourself up for being you. That is torture. You have to let them have their genetics and let me practice acceptance and focus on what I can control, like my health.
But then there's the other side. Comparison is teacher.
This is looking at actionable results, career success, certain skills, habits that people have. The Molly story illustrates this perfectly.
Oh, poor Molly. I felt for her. She's Mel's friend, an interior designer, and she is enraged, just enraged by a neighbor with no experience who has a better website and a better Instagram presence.
Molly is seizing. She's a fraud. Her photos aren't even that good. She uses filters. She's just picking her apart.
So why does this bother her so much? It's not just that the neighbor is successful.
It's because the neighbor is proving it's possible. The neighbor is doing the work that Molly has been avoiding. The jealousy is a signal. It's a map. It's revealing what Molly actually wants for herself.
So the let them here is.
Let the neighbor be successful. Let her have the shiny website. Stop throwing energy at tearing her down because that energy is a complete waste.
And let me.
Let me use this anger as fuel. Let me finally update my own website. Let me start posting my work. If she can do it with no experience, imagine what I can do with my years of expertise.
So if someone makes you jealous, you should basically thank them.
In your head, yes. Thank them. Thank them for showing you what your next step is. If you weren't capable of it, you wouldn't be jealous. You'd be indifferent. The jealousy means you know you have that potential in you, and seeing someone else activate it is irritating.
That is a complete reframe of jealousy. It's not a toxic emotion. It's data.
It's just data. It changes everything. You stop hating on successful people and you start taking notes.
So bringing this all together, we've gone from prom disasters to workplace stress to family trauma to Instagram jealousy. The thread connecting all of it is this fundamental shift from external control to internal responsibility.
That's it. That's the whole thing. The let them theory isn't about giving up. It's about aggressively reclaiming your energy. We spend so much of our life force trying to manage the unmanageable.
Mel calls it the let me era.
I love that phrasing, the let me era. It's an acknowledgement that no one is coming to save you. No one is going to magically fix your social life. No one is going to hand you the promotion if you don't ask for it or build it yourself. You are responsible for your own happiness.
And that's actually good news.
Yeah.
Because it means you can actually do something about it. You're not a victim of circumstance.
Exactly. When you let others be who they are, which is, at the end of the day, completely uncontrollable, you free yourself up to be who you are. And that is powerful.
So here's our final thought, our challenge to you, the listener. The next time you feel that spike of irritation, maybe it's traffic on the way home, maybe it's a rude email, maybe it's your partner chewing too loudly.
Pause just for a second and say, let them. Feel that little drop in tension and then immediately ask yourself, okay, let me do what?
Maybe it's, let me put on some music. Maybe it's, let me close the laptop for 5 minutes. Maybe it's just, let me take a deep breath.
Try it on the small stuff first. Build the muscle. Because when the big stuff hits, and it will, you're going to need it.
Let them be the chaos. Let me be the calm. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Always a pleasure.
We'll catch you on the next one.